Chapter 1. The House on the Hill. The wind howled across the rolling fields of northern Vermont, carrying with it a cold so sharp it seemed to cut straight through bone. The town of Coleridge lay swaddled in winter darkness, its roads dusted in snow, and its windows glowing dimly against the long, lonely night. Up on Bishop Hill, where the trees stood black and crooked against the sky, there sat a house. The locals called it the Garland House, though no one by that name had lived there for nearly 70 years. Now it stood as a shadow, windows blind and black, wood warped and gray, chimneys choked with age-old soot. Few dared approach the place, even in daylight. The mailman delivered letters to the foot of the hill, never farther. Children invented dares, but rarely followed through, except for the foolhardy or the cruel. Stories abounded in Coleridge, stories of screaming winds and faces in the glass, of footsteps on the stairs and voices whispering in the dark. This was the setting where Amy Tran, a 24-year-old Vietnamese-American grad student from Boston, would spend her winter break. She had never heard of Coleridge, Vermont, until her friend Maggie insisted they join a research project there, an oral history on American ghost stories. Amy loved a good scare in movies, but didn't believe in actual hauntings. If anything, she thought it would make for a good story to tell her skeptical mother. Their small car groaned as it climbed the winding, icy road. Beside Amy, Maggie gripped the steering wheel, her knuckles white. "You sure you want to do this? You're the one who said you'd sell your soul for a good thesis topic," Amy teased, forcing a laugh. "Yeah, well, I didn't think it would involve actual souls." Maggie gave her a crooked grin, but her eyes kept darting to the rearview mirror, as if half expecting to see something following. The house came into view, rising sudden and stark above the trees. Its porch sagged, and the windows reflected nothing but the darkening sky. Even the snow seemed to avoid its steps. "Looks atmospheric," Amy said, trying to sound casual, but her breath left a little cloud on the glass. They parked at the edge of the property. The world was quiet, save for the wind and the crunch of their boots on the snow. The house loomed overhead, every board creaking with old secrets. Inside, the air was sharp with cold and the scent of dust and rotting wood. Shadows crowded the corners. Every step echoed as if the walls were listening. They hauled their bags into what must have once been a living room. The floorboards sagged under Amy's weight. An old fireplace yawned against one wall, its bricks stained with years of ash. "This place gives me the creeps," Maggie whispered, voice bouncing in the silence. "You said the caretaker left us firewood?" Maggie nodded, eyes scanning the gloom. They found a pile of logs in the kitchen, beside a rusted wood stove. The tap in the sink spat nothing but brown water. The fridge hummed, but nothing inside was edible. As the last hints of daylight slipped away, Amy pulled out her phone and shined the light around the room. The beam flickered over peeling wallpaper, yellowed newspapers on a chair, and something else. A photograph, half buried under dust. Amy brushed it off. The photograph showed a woman standing on the porch, her dress billowing in the wind. Her face was turned, blurred, but something about her posture sent a chill through Amy. "Hey, look at this," she called. Maggie came over. The wind rattled the window, and for a moment the house seemed to exhale around them. "That's the old Garland woman, I bet." Maggie shivered. "The one who, the one in all those stories." Amy frowned. "Which story is that?" Maggie shrugged. "Depends on who you ask. Some say she went mad up here after her husband died. Others say she drowned her daughter in the pond out back.
And there's the story about her showing up in mirrors or walking the halls at night looking for something or someone to join her." Amy laughed, but the sound fell flat. She tucked the photo in her bag, telling herself she would use it as a research artifact. As night deepened, the wind grew fiercer, rattling every loose shingle. The girls made a fire in the ancient fireplace, but the heat barely touched the icy air. They unpacked their sleeping bags and sat by the fire, the room dim except for the flicker of flame and the pale glow of Amy's phone. "You really don't believe in any of this, do you?" Maggie asked. "In ghosts? Nah. I mean, sure, maybe people see things when they're scared, but that doesn't mean it's real." Maggie hugged her knees. "My grandmother always said if you mock the dead, they hear you." "Your grandmother also said eating cold rice makes your hair fall out." A gust of wind slammed against the window, rattling the pane so hard that both girls jumped. For a moment, Amy thought she saw a shape outside, a pale blur at the edge of the trees. But when she looked again, there was nothing but snow. The house groaned and settled, wood flexing in the cold. The girls tried to laugh off their nerves, telling ghost stories until their voices grew hoarse and the fire shrank to embers. But when Amy crawled into her sleeping bag, sleep wouldn't come. Shadows pooled in the corners, and the cold pressed in from all sides. She found herself listening, straining to hear footsteps or whispers or anything at all. Sometime after midnight, the silence broke. Amy jerked awake, heart pounding, convinced someone was in the room with them. She held her breath, staring into the dark. There was the faintest sound, the soft, rhythmic creak of floorboards above, as if someone were pacing back and forth on the second floor. She nudged Maggie. "Did you hear that?" she whispered. Maggie blinked awake. The creaking grew louder, closer, like slow footsteps coming toward the stairs. "It's probably just the house settling," Maggie whispered back, but Amy saw the fear in her eyes. They listened, rigid with fear, as the footsteps moved to the top of the stairs, then stopped. A silence deeper than before fell. Amy strained her ears, hardly daring to breathe. Then a voice, whispering from the shadows, hoarse, hollow, close enough to feel the cold of it brush their skin. "You shouldn't have come here."